The Embody and Fern have been in the spotlight for a while, but now there's a new contender turning heads, the Omni chair. New challengers for S-tier status typically come from those usual suspects like Steelcase, Herman Miller, or Hayworth, but this one comes from the brand Libernovo. I've tested all three of these chairs extensively, and in this video, I'll break down how they compare and whether the Omni has what it takes to land in S-tier. We've only seen a pre-production model so far, but I'll say it has been hard to get me out of this chair. Before we get into it, this video is not sponsored, so I can say whatever I want. Let's start with the part of the chair I'd argue matters the most, and that's the seat. The Libernovo Omni uses a multi-density foam cushion. It's firmer at the back of the seat to support your sit bones and softer in the front to reduce leg pressure and improve circulation. You can really feel the difference when you press down into the chair. The seat has a contoured design with pressure-relieving domes included towards the back of the seat. This is definitely a seat I have no issue sitting in for long sessions at my desk. Looking at pressure mapping results, you can see the weight distribution was impressively even. One concern with the Omni is some at BTOD found the seat too warm because of how you sink into it, so keep that in mind if you typically are running hot. Libernovo recently announced an update to their seat before it was even released. I'll touch on that later, but let me just say this is a game changer. The Embody takes a completely different route. It uses a pixelated support grid under a thin layer of foam. So what this means, it gives the seat flexibility, essentially creating a floating sensation. It's different than the suspended feeling you get reclining back in the Aeron. Think of it more as support that dynamically supports you when you move in the chair. And because the seat is directly connected to the backrest, there's no seat gap, which is another thing I love. When they came out with the Logitech gaming version, they also added some additional foam, a great improvement. It still feels a bit firm when compared to the Libernovo, but the large size and flexibility make this an S-tier seat for me. Moving to the Fern, this stays more traditional, with a full foam seat, no pixel grids, and no cutout domes. And it's the firmest of the three. Over time, it does soften up with some use, so don't be concerned if you purchase one and it feels hard out of the box. Now that all probably sounds awful, but honestly, it's another great seat. And this is part of the reason BTOD has consistently ranked this chair so highly. It has a bit of seat pan flex and a good amount of seat depth adjustment to help out us taller users. It's really challenging to choose a winner for these sections, but my personal preference would go towards the Embody because of its large size. Let's do a quick seat fabric breakdown. The Libernovo has a linen-like elastic fabric. It's very soft on the skin, but sometimes softness affects durability. The Embody uses a fabric called Sync. It's very high performance, breathable, and it's designed to keep you cool while working or gaming. It's very durable, and these chairs look really good even after years of use. The Fern uses a fabric called Atlas. It combines wool and synthetic fibers. It's soft to the skin and very plush. I'd consider this a good balance between softness and durability. If you're already questioning that one of these three might not be right for you, check out our office chair guide where we rank all of the most popular office chairs. The link is in the description. Sitting 8+ hours a day, you're going to lean on that backrest, literally. So this is where the best chairs really start to separate themselves. The obvious standout feature on the Libernovo is the powered lumbar piston. With the push of a button, it presses into your lower back and then retracts on command. It's similar to how lumbar systems work in cars. It has a wide adjustment range, and when reclined, it doubles as a traction stretch. I like it, but what actually impressed me more was the overall backrest feel. Libernovo calls it their triple layer fit, a stretchy outer fabric, soft cushion layer, and a flexible frame. This hits the sweet spot between comfort and support. This feels like an S-tier backrest, but since we haven't tested that final production model, I'll wait to give it that final grade. The Embody is all about movement, using its pixelated system up the entire back. It's reactive to how you move in the chair. A win over the Omni here is breathability, since you don't sink far into it. The Embody includes an independent back angle adjustment. This lets you fine-tune your upright versus recline posture before you change your seat tilt. That's a very rare adjustment, and for me it helps solve that known issue of the Embody rolling over the shoulders. This mostly is a problem for tall people. At the same time, there's unfortunately no lumbar adjustment, so some find it to be too aggressive. Personally, I feel it's perfect. But if you're overly sensitive to lumbar tension, this is something to consider. The Fern uses a 4-layered system. It's soft, pliable, and gives you that suspended feeling. Again, you're going to get tons of flexibility. so maybe no one moves around this much in their chair, but if you want to stretch out your back, it's great knowing you can. I love the digital knit fabric, which gives you just an extra plush layer to sink into. There's also an optional airbag style lumbar insert. Personally, I would add it because I like a lot of lumbar support. Ryan at BTOD, he ranks the Fern S tier and he prefers the chair without it as he feels it's a little too aggressive. Quick note, when talking about flexibility and lumbar support, the Steelcase Leap deserves a mention. It's not in this comparison, but it remains the benchmark in backrest support and comfort. Armrests are one of the more commonly overlooked but very important features in chair comfort. The Omni's arms are a mixed bag of innovation and small compromises. They offer generous depth and pivot adjustment and even have width control similar to the Embody. But what makes them unique is how they slide with the Recline, keeping them aligned with your body. This feature is especially great for gaming or long reading or video watching sessions. Now the drawbacks, even at its lowest height, they may sit too high for some people, and there's also a little play in the armrest frame. This is one area I'd love to see improved when we see a final production model. The Embody goes minimalist with just height and width adjustment, no depth and no pivot. But this simplicity is part of what makes them so great. The pads are large and they're soft, and because of that lack of adjustments, they're incredibly stable. They just don't move, and that's a good thing if you want that rock-solid support. Similar to the Omni, they move with you as you recline in the chair. The Fern offers full 4D adjustability with height, width, depth, and pivot. They're super versatile and can adjust to fit a large range of people, but with that great adjustability comes a little wobble. The arms aren't as locked in as the Embodies, they're more similar to the Omni. I never find them distracting necessarily, but it's something to consider again if you're sensitive about this. Unfortunately, many of the premium chair brands completely dropped the ball on headrests, but Libernovo did not. The Omni includes its headrest standard, and it's a great one. It uses the same elastic fabric and soft foam as the backrest, and it has height and depth adjustment. It does have a slight wobble, but that movement actually helps to flex with you as you move in the chair. Once I had it dialed in, I found myself using it all the time, especially while reclined. I'm not usually a headrest guy, but the Omni kind of converted me. The Embody doesn't come with a headrest at all. If you want one, I'd recommend grabbing the third-party headrest from Atlas. It integrates well with the chair and it's super comfortable, but it does add even more cost on top of what is already a very expensive chair. The Fern technically has a headrest option, but it's rigid and only adjusts in height. And honestly, it just kind of gets in the way. It pushes your head forward and it isn't comfortable unless you're reclined. And even then, it's not great. Plus you have to add on top of that, it's also surprisingly hard. Recline is where the Omni forced me to do something I never do, and that's use a tilt lock. And here's why. The Omni reclines so far back that if you don't lock it, you'll end up almost horizontal. The tilt tension is responsive, but even so, once you hit the midpoint in the recline, it kind of pulls you all the way back. That said, the second to last lock position is excellent for lounging or typing in a semi-reclined posture. And once that headrest is set up right, it's perfect. It reminds me how the human scale freedom allows you to work well reclined. The Embody features what I consider the best recline in the business, and that's Herman Miller's harmonic tilt. This system is the main reason I've been known as a bit of a Herman Miller fanboy around the office. It's buttery smooth, incredibly balanced, and it really encourages you to keep moving throughout the day. It goes deep and the movement feels really natural. The Fern uses a standard synchro tilt system. The range is good, but the recline doesn't go quite as deep as the Omni chair, and the motion lacks the refined feel of the Embody. I feel like a broken record here, it's still great, but I wouldn't quite give it that S tier rating. If your budget is around $700 or even up to $1,000, the Omni is easily one of, if not my top recommendation. It delivers an incredible amount of value for the price. Now it's not perfect, but like I mentioned earlier, Libernovo just announced a major improvement. They're planning to offer 2 different seat depth options. That change alone could take the seat from A tier to S tier in my book. If budget isn't a concern, the Embody would be my top pick. It comes from an established brand, it has a strong warranty, and delivers consistent comfort across the board. The Fern falls just short in a few key areas. It's still close enough that depending on your preferences, or maybe you just love the design, it could easily be the right chair for you. Let me know in the comments what you think about the new Omni chair. Thanks for watching.